Ever wake up from a crazy dream or nightmare and have no one to tell it to? Well, you're in luck, because I found you an audience. Check out the In Your Dreams podcast hosted by Michelle. You'll get to listen to all sorts of fun, crazy, or just plain weird dreams. And here's the best part. You can be the guest. Go to mitchruby.com/inyourdreams and submit the guest form. Check it out on iTunes. We now return you to your regular anime podcast listening.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ghost in the Cloud, an anime podcast, episode 5. Woohoo! So before we get into before we get into this week's, which is going to be Escaflowne, the 2000 movie, we're going to talk about
anime news. All right, so first up, I'm going to mess this up.
Try to pronounce it.
Kodansha Comics announced at its Anime Expo panel on Monday that New York Comic Con will host manga artist Hiro Mashima. Mashima is the author of the Fairy Tail manga series. I'm going to get used to it. I'll get it. Which follows the adventures of world's most notorious mage guild, Fairy Tail.
Yeah, it's Fairy Tail.
The manga launched in 2006, and Mashima recently stated that it will end soon. The manga has inspired 2 television anime, 2 anime films, several original videos, anime projects, and spin-offs. Kodansha Comics publishes the original manga.
You don't want to say that word.
And a number of its spin-offs in North America. Mashima also created the manga Rave Master, which ran for 35 volumes and inspired a 51-episode anime adaptation of the same name, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah, so Mashima's been busy.
But wait, there's more Comic-Con news. Viz Media announced on Friday that New York Comic-Con will host Akira Himekawa, the creators of the Legend of Zelda manga, at this year's convention. Akira Himekawa is the pseudonym for manga creator duo A Honda, I'm sorry I don't know their first names, and S Nagano. That's a sweet. They're best known for their manga adaptations of Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda games, most recently The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Both creators appeared at Anime Expo 2017, where they announced a new manga project entitled Kamdo.
So, as a diehard Food Wars fan, I'm really excited to have an excuse to mention it again. But the official website for Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma, anime began streaming a promotional video this past Tuesday for the anime's 3rd season, and the video begins by showing scenes from the anime's first 2 seasons, which gets you pumped, and then it shows clips of the Totsuki Council of 10, as they call it.
Super pumped.
So the top 10 elite, they finally show them at the end of this video. Super excited. And this new season is titled Shokugeki no Soma San no Sara, which is the 3rd plate. So the anime will premiere this fall, and it will follow the battle against the Council of 10.
All right, so what is our word of the week, Bridget?
It is one of my favorite words. Well, I think going forward with word of the week, I'm going to pick an anime word that you're going to hear a lot in whatever show or movie we're talking about. But since we watched one in English this time, I'm just going to start out with one of my favorite Japanese words I hear in a lot of animes, and it's baka. A lot of you probably know this, anime fans. Baka, which in our English language we spell it B-A-K-A, or in, as the Japanese call it, romanji. And it could mean something very different depending on how you pronounce it. So if you say really angry or serious, baka, it means stupid or idiot. But, you're just playing around some friends, some friendly banter, and you say baka. That basically means don't be silly in our way of putting it. But, so be careful how you say it and who you say it to, because it can mean something very different. But I think the word is a lot of fun to say, so use it wisely. Baka.
All right. I guess we'll jump into our
Anime
show of the week. So,
Movie.
well, yes, it's a movie. So, Escaflowne, also released under the title Escaflowne, A Girl in Gaea, is a 2000 anime fantasy film produced by Sunrise and animated by Studio Bones. Directed by, Kazuki Akane.
Yeah, you
or
got
Akane.
No, Akane.
Akane. The film is a retelling of the 26-episode anime television series The Vision of Escaflowne. The original series was 26 episodes long and aired back in 1996. The plot of the movie follows a high school girl, Hitomi Kanzaki. It's a very dark time in her life, and she has been plagued by unusual dreams. Don't burp. Depressed, she wants nothing more than to disappear, and after falling out with her only friend, she is mysteriously summoned to another world, Gaea. This world is facing its own crisis. The relentless Black Dragon clan seeks to conquer Gaea. A group of rebels, however, led by the hero of the story, Vaughn, happen upon Hitomi and become convinced she is the prophesized goddess who will revive Escaflowne. Together they set out to stop the evil Lord Falcon, Vaughn's older brother. So...
Sounds like a cool plot.
Yeah, you'd think so. I'm super happy about this episode.
Why is that, John?
Because this movie is so bad. It's so bad. Like, okay, so...
Well, this is coming from someone who also loves to see his favorite characters die. He's
I
think we get to review a
I just think it's great
one.
in shows when they kill a character off because it shows that nothing is safe. It really, you get
it shakes your world.
Nah,
I get it.
I don't want to talk about it, but now that you said it, they did a fake out in the show Walking Dead last year with Glenn, but like the fake out, like it freaked me out hardcore because he was my favorite character.
I remember you not sleeping well that night.
Yeah, it was a rough night. But anyway, back to the movie.
Terrible movie.
Yeah. Okay. So, side note, we did watch this in English, which I would not recommend because we've now watched 2 movies in English.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the characters or the voice actors phoned it in again.
You know what? I have to say, it wasn't just, I can't blame it all on the voice acting. I think it was also the translation. Like, there was some sentences that I feel like I could see where they were trying to go, what they were trying to convey, but I feel like their wording was just awkward. Like when she was telling Vaughn that she wanted to be his support, she wanted to be by his side. She says, I want to be with you, Vaughn. That has a very different meaning in our language. That sounds like, she's kind of hitting on him, but we know that's not how it's meant in the movie. I just think that their wording also, their translation was terrible.
Yeah, that's probably true. So, what Bridget was talking about is the character Hitomi and Vaughn. They are our heroine and our hero of the story. Hitomi is this just sort of regular schoolgirl. She's plagued by depression, and it starts off with her sort of napping on the roof of, I presume, her school.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a grade A student right there. And
cutting class.
She awakens after having this dream or vision, I guess. She was a kid, right?
Yeah, she was about 5.
She's with her parents at a train station, and sort of time stops, but it doesn't stop for her. Yeah. And as she's looking around, unsure of what's going on, she sees an individual dressed very strangely,
outer-worldly,
exactly, looking at her, and she doesn't understand, and then just like that person's gone, and time starts again.
Yeah.
So she's thinking about that, right?
And that was something that actually happened to her. It wasn't like a vision. It was just something she was reliving that happened to her when she was young.
So one of my issues with this movie is they never explain who that character is. This character appears before her. You get that it's like a strange person. Maybe it's the previous wing goddess. I don't know. I never thought about that until now. But
because the wing goddess is supposed to be from Earth, as they said.
Yeah, but in the movie, the wing goddess goes to Gaea. So maybe like it was a previous what's the word I'm looking for?
There's just no way for us. It's all speculation. We don't know who this person is, but they look like they're from Gaea just by the way they're dressed, and the fact that they magically appear there and stop time for a moment just means that they have powers that are beyond our world. So I would think that because of that, they're probably from Gaea. Why they appear, they never explain it. Why they stop time, who knows? But they move on and she keeps reliving this moment in her dreams.
Right, and now she's like a teenager. She has like one real friend. It's obvious that she suffers from depression. Like they
make it very obvious. They kind of like lay it on you too thick.
She has like mood swings.
She says she's tired all the time. She keeps saying she wants to disappear. Her only friend caught her writing a suicide note for practice. Like, that was dark.
Not great on her friend's part either, because
Yeah,
her friend
she's
kind of just brushes off like, oh, you'll never do it.
Yeah, I don't think you have to.
Crazy Hitomi.
Yeah, it was just, it was weird. It was a weird way to get you started in the movie.
And,
but-
like, well, in my opinion, Hitomi is an unlikable character.
Mhm.
She doesn't serve... Okay, so if you haven't guessed, and by the way, spoilers, but the movie is 17 years old, so get over it.
Yeah.
Hitomi is this legendary wing goddess, apparently. Now, this is, of course, lore on the world of Gaia, that
like
the
an
wing
old
goddess will appear and awaken Escaflowne,
Yeah.
which is this sort of living robot
Ancient
armor.
dragon-like living armor, and even has its own heart, and it beats, and the piping on this machine looks like veins, and it actually comes alive. It has a life of its own, and it's been around since before anyone can remember, and it's also believed that it could even bring upon the ends of the world. It's just so powerful, it could be used for great or terrible things.
And she eventually gets transferred to Gaia magically. Like, the only reason she is in this movie is to awaken the Escaflowne.
So I'm not gonna disagree with you entirely. I think that, yeah, aside from awakening Escaflowne, Hitomi has had really no impact on the world of Gaia. She had a little impact on the hero of the movie, Vaughn, which we'll get to in a minute. But otherwise, she really she's not needed. She doesn't need to be there. And this is just a critique of the movie. I know from personal experience that the show is completely different. But yeah, in this movie, I kind of agree. She's really not needed. Like, she could have been like, okay, here's Escaflowne, he's awake, bye guys, going back to class, and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, see, it would have been different if, like, it's prophesized that the wing goddess would appear and then control Escaflowne.
But
that's not how it happens in the movie, and it makes no sense.
Which brings us to Vaughn.
So Vaughn is the hero of the story, and we get a really cool, like, intro for Vaughn. He's falling out of the sky towards this massive, like, airship, and he just lands on this, what do they call the things on, like, boats that have the crow's nest. He lands on this crow's nest, and this guy who's part of the evil army is shocked to see what's like, holy crap, this guy
he landed from above.
And in a split second, Vaughn takes out his sword and kills the man. And not only does he kill the man, but, like, it's gory. Like, there's
pretty gory.
Blood splatter everywhere. And then he proceeds to go into the ship and just destroy everyone.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is happening? You find out Vaughn is not exactly human. And it plays a major part in sort of how the world of Gaia works.
Yeah, definitely.
So Vaughn is a draconian, and draconians look human, but they have angel wings, and they also have sort of these psychic powers almost.
Yeah,
where they can,
some
like,
powers too, a little bit.
Hurt individuals or move things with their minds.
Yeah,
like,
think Darth Vader.
Right, and they sort of rule over this world.
But they also have dragon blood in them too.
Right, so they have
hence draconians.
Right. He's a really cool character, and he's he's very conflicted about, like, where his lot in life is, very much like Hitomi. But, like, unlike Hitomi, who's sort of just there waiting to just disappear,
very passive about it.
Not be around anymore. He's out there fighting.
Hacking away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe it's not better,
he's aggressive.
But he's fighting for a reason, and that's to sort of end the oppression of the bad guy.
Yeah, the bad guy.
The bad guy. So Van, he works with
Vaughn.
Vaughn. It's spelled Van. Anyway, it is. Yeah, it's a little misleading, and I keep messing up the pronunciations of everyone's name. I think it's probably just a thing that's gonna happen, so too bad.
I kind of like watching you try to pronounce all the Japanese names every week, because, I mean, most of the time you get it right, but it takes extreme effort on your part. You're like, okay, wait for it. You have the, like, brain power at 100%. Okay, now I got it.
Back to Van.
Vaughn.
Back to Vaughn.
Vaughn.
He's this very, like, complex character, and it's seen in how he sort of even interacts with the people he sort of calls friends. So he's working alongside these sort of rebels
Yeah.
led by another character, Alan, who are trying to overthrow the big bad, who is Falcon, which happens to be Vaughn's older brother, who we'll talk about in a sec.
Even the other people in his group, they call him a loner.
Right, and he comes to blows with them at times because he feels like he has already, not that he feels that he has, but he has this like destiny just sort of looming over him, and he knows he has to do something, but not sure how.
Yeah.
And Hitomi shows up, and his world starts to change because they believe she is the prophesized wing goddess.
But when he first meets her, Mr. Aggressive threatens to kill her because he doesn't know who she is and where she's come from, but right from the get-go, he threatens to kill her. And that's when his team kind of have to step in and be like, hold up, and take her in. But yeah, he's off his rocker.
So not even I understand that it's based off the 26 episode anime, but the characters develop these relationships so quickly, it really doesn't make any sense. The movie would have made more sense if Hitomi wasn't part of it.
If it was just about Gaea.
Because you get a lot of background about... Well, actually, I should say you don't really get a whole lot of background on Gaea.
I think the one good thing that was going for this movie was the world of Gaea. Because it was interesting where it took place. It was hidden on the other side of the moon.
Only certain times throughout, I guess, year intervals can those who are on Gaea see Earth, and that's why Hitomi was summoned. And she ultimately goes back to Earth, and you don't really get anything. Like you don't
Nothing
know what's
happens.
happened to her.
She just poof, at the end of the movie.
And it's just like, well, what's she gonna do now?
Yeah,
like,
it would have been nice if they had shown her improvement after she goes back. She's a new person. She reconciles with her friend, blah, blah, blah. But no, they just leave it at that. But the world of Gaea, you can see the Earth up in the sky behind the moon, and they don't see it as another planet. They call it the heavens. And that's why they see this girl, this high school girl that shows up, they see her as a goddess. And they say that she's come down from the heavens. And I really liked what they did with the moon. On the other side of the moon, the side that we can never see from Earth, there is a giant eye carved into it, always staring down at them.
It's like one of those Egyptian eyes. I'm not sure what those are called, but like if you look at it closely, it looks like
it's very similar style, yeah. And
into the back of the moon, which is very cool.
Yeah, what they call the mysterious moon, but very interesting, very creative world, and it's like almost like a medieval era that they have on their world.
It's medieval, like in its architecture. It's beautiful. It's very lush. Like even they haven't come up with factories
yet, so
yeah. Well, like they don't have things like that where like people live it. Like there are people who live in like small villages and there
like
are big cities,
grass huts, things like that. Yeah, like a beautiful world that they built.
But like the world of Gaea is so beautifully illustrated. You're kind of like, I want more of this. Like, why can't you tell me more about the history of Gaea? And like they don't give you anything.
Yeah,
like you have to interpret everything for what it is as you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know how this compares to the 26 episode anime, but this is just...
I've seen it.
It's a bad...
It's been a long time.
Cropping
but I remember
26 episodes.
I did enjoy the show. And...
All right, well, I'm going to watch the show at some point. We'll watch it in Japanese. Because...
At first, you're like, I can't take any more of it.
I was sitting there watching this, and I'm just like...
We had to take a pause. You were falling asleep.
I was falling asleep. I was just like, this is not good or entertaining in any way.
Yeah, but all right.
Anyway.
On a positive note, though, the story, though, it was based on this show. It was a quick movie adaptation, and it was a poor one. And, it wasn't even well received in Japan. It was in other countries. Everyone loved it. But in Japan, not so much. But as someone who has seen the show, and from just reading, looking back into the comparison of the show and movie, the characters are nothing like they are in the movie. Hitomi is supposed to be this cheerful, happy, love-strucken high school girl. And in the movie, she's depressed and quite annoying, in my opinion.
Complete reverse.
And, Vaughn still conflicted. He's not so aggressive like he is in this movie. And you see a lot more of, you get more, obviously, because it's 26 episodes long, but you get more quality as well. I feel like, in the time they had this hour-and-a-half movie, they should have taken the time to really show the relationship that they have together. They really do impact each other, and they work together as a team. Whereas in this movie, they don't even bring out Escaflowne, this machine, until the last few minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and even though they find it relatively early on, like it just disappears.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, why do we need you? What are you here for?
She just kind of trails along with them. She doesn't do anything.
Really participate. At one point she's kidnapped, and it's just like everyone's fighting for her because they believe she's this wind goddess.
And they all ask her, are you the wind goddess? She's like, I think so. I don't know. And she doesn't really know because no one ever explained it to her. Whoever, the guy that summoned her to Gaea.
He was the bad guy.
It was Fulken that summoned.
So Fulken is the bad guy of the movie. There are other like minor bad guys that you don't really get a lot of. You get like 1 or 2 fight scenes. But Fulken's the big bad. He is also the big brother to Vaughn. The reason they're fighting is because Vaughn was destined by prophecy to be the leader of Gaea. He was going to rule over the world. Fulken was having none of that, and he was just like, no, I'm taking this by force. This is my rightful place in the world. I deserve to be the ruler or king or whatever they refer to themselves as.
Yeah, they were the Black Dragon clan.
Black Dragon clan, right. So,
but his first move was to slaughter their parents and set their home on fire, which was lovely.
Yeah. It's so nice, this movie.
There was no comedy whatsoever either. Like, no relief from it. It was very serious the entire time. Do you think Mr. Mole was supposed to be the comic relief?
I guess.
He was so goofy.
Mr. Mole is this weird-looking,
he was a mole
fat,
man.
strange, mole-like man.
Yeah.
Who has, like, half a dozen lines throughout the movie, but, like, they're not funny lines, and they don't, like, even the lines he has don't really move the story along in any particular way.
No, he just, like, shows up and is like, hey. And he's just, like, curvy.
Say the reason there are mole men is because on Gaea there are different races. So you have the Draconians, who you have Fulken and Vaughn. I know, it's not going to happen. I don't know what to say. You have humans like Alan, and then you have Junine, which are beast people, and they're like a mix of humanoid and beast. We have Merle, who is the sidekick to Vaughn. She's his aide, and she's this cat woman. Like,
yeah, she looks like a young girl. She's got the cat ears and the tail and the reflexes, and she's like this, the cute little sidekick.
And the beast people definitely live as a second-class citizen. Like, they're not
Fulken,
treated as well.
They show his army just taking over one Junin clan at a time, just burning down their homes and taking them in as slaves and forcing them to fight in his army.
Merle, I guess, she's probably the comic relief.
Yeah, maybe. She's
awkward,
creepy man. She has like a little hidden crush, I think, on Vaughn that she doesn't want him to know about. She's always looking for him, asking about him, and she gets all excited when he's there, But she's all right. She's there. I like cats, so But honestly, the whole movie is very serious, and it was a little rough to get through. And there was no relief from it. These little random side characters, they didn't do it, in my opinion. But not to take away from Escaflowne, the story. It is a really good story.
We'll see.
And I think the movie butchered what is a good story. I mean, when you read, even in the beginning, you read the synopsis, sounded great, sounds great on paper, but there's, I think, just poor execution on their part. I think that if anyone's interested in that story, but they want to see the better version, I say go right for the show.
Oh, well, yeah, that's for sure. I haven't even seen it, and I can guarantee it's probably better.
Yeah, just go for the show and watch it in Japanese. That's where you're going to get the best of it. And the movie, I mean, it's only an hour and a half long. I'm not going to say don't watch it, but it's
don't watch
it's
it.
just
it's
a little
thumbs down.
Yeah, it's dated, I think.
Oh man, for a movie that came out in 2000, it is so dated. Even like before we get like too far off track, I do want to talk about Escaflowne itself. Name of the movie, Escaflowne, this ancient dragon-like living armor that awakens when the wind goddess is summoned to Gaea.
Yeah.
Right? So Hitomi appears inside Escaflowne, and it awakens from, I guess, like being buried. I think it was buried.
No, they had it on that airship.
Oh, I apologize. They have it on the airship.
They found it wherever it was buried, wherever it was hidden for, I guess, decades. They found it and they said, awesome, we're just going to wait for them. The wind goddess is going to come to us because we're the best, and it's going to wake up this armor and it's going to be fighting on our side. So they had this in the airship. They were bringing it back to Fulken when the movie started.
And by the way, Fulken's plan is a non-existent one. He literally wants the world to end.
Yeah, what was that about?
he wants Escaflowne to literally just destroy
That's why he
Gaea.
wanted Escaflowne, is because it was also foretold that it had the power to destroy the world. It was so powerful that he wanted to use it as a doomsday device. This one woman that was helping him, she almost looked elvish, but they don't mention that as a race in this world. She lured Hitomi there, and I mean, what Fulkin said was that the world is suffering. Let's just end it. Even though this guy,
Signs of a great king.
the guy is the reason everyone's suffering. He's, rounding everyone up and burning their homes and enslaving them and making them fight for him. And, I'm just like, dude, you're the reason why they're bad. But yeah, he wanted to end the world.
And he needed Escaflowne to do it.
Yeah.
Which he never gets. He had, and what's crazy is he has this other dragon-like armor.
Yeah, which they don't
armor,
explain where that came from.
Yeah, they make no explanation of it. It's just there. And it's brought to life and then killed by Vaughn when he pilots Escaflowne, which because for whatever reason Hitomi does not.
Yeah, she can't.
It's just never seen. And Escaflowne is not even used in what you, I guess, would call the final battle. So, the very end, Vaughn and Hitomi confront Fulkin. And Fulkin's just like, I've sort of renounced my draconian blood. Like, I don't even take my wings out anymore because I'm so, like, essentially depressed. Just don't want this world to live anymore. And everyone and anyone who's on this guy's side is backstabbing him by the end of the movie.
It was his top lieutenant, or it was the guy who's running his army. It was this lion guy. Like, he had a lion head, but it was a man. He tries to kill him at the very end of the movie.
I'm not even sure I know his name.
Poor guy wasn't mentioned in anywhere that we saw him. He was just... But
I
liked the guy. Like, the entire movie, he showed some compassion for these slaughtered creatures, but still followed orders. And then at the very end of the movie, he said, it's my dying purpose. I want to do this. Is what I'm going to do. He tries to kill Fulkin. Tries to stab him.
Well, he does stab him.
He does, but he dies.
And he dies, and he doesn't even really put up a fight.
This
and like
head general, this guy leading an army.
As he's like falling to the ground, bleeding, Vaughn is just like, "Big brother," and in those words, he is redeemed somehow because he's just like, "That's all I ever wanted to hear again."
Yeah, Fulkin's like, when he heard the words "big brother."
Hold up a sec.
Yeah.
You're destroying the world because you want to hang out with your little bro?
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. Yeah.
Like, how about you just send out search parties? Throw out an invitation.
Why don't you just say
have
hey?
A party like, hey, it's been a while. Why not? Let's get together.
I guess once
have
you
a
slaughter your parents, there's no going back.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like,
I understand that.
Oh
but
man,
the whole movie was
just bad.
weird. Yeah, bad. Baka. All right, guys, it's Baka.
I'm sorry. Before to get, I keep getting sidetracked. But Escaflowne, it's this armor that we get no information on.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. It's this really cool, almost Gundam-like armor that's living.
It's very Gundam.
It needs the blood of a draconian to work, which is why Vaughn is the only one who could sort of use it, or his brother.
It does one cool thing too. It actually did something Transformer-like. It arranged itself into the shape of a dragon and then flew.
And it flew. And it's just like, oh, well.
That's cool.
Escaflowne is the MacGuffin of this movie. It is literally there to move the plot along. It has there's no point to it. In my opinion, if Hitomi wasn't in the movie, they would have never found Escaflowne, and things would have escalated in the same manner, probably just a little slower.
Yeah, because even though Fulkin had the armor Escaflowne in the beginning, he can't operate it without Hitomi. It would just sat there. It would have been a really big paperweight.
And they don't even use it in the final fight, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, they used it for a second, right? I mean, he fought the robot. It didn't fight Fulkin. It fought the other robot.
Yeah, but that's my point, though. Like, if Escaflowne's not awakened, do they even have this other robot in use? Like, because they even have a scene where it's just like, we need to get this other robot ready to fight. And it's dumb. It's dumb. All right? It's dumb as rocks.
Yeah, I guess if they never had the Wing Goddess come to Gaea, they wouldn't have been motivated to make that second armor. And it just would have been army against army or brother against brother with some kind of, one-on-one battle. Something like that would have made more sense. I would say watch the show instead.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I think watching the 26 episode show, that's short for anime standards.
I haven't seen the show, but the research I was doing for this episode, I found out that the show's so very different. not only is the animation style like different and the characters look different, but we have Hitomi, who Bridget mentioned earlier, is completely different in personality.
Yep. She's supposed to be cheerful, and then they made her depressed.
And like, if you look at photos of Escaflowne from the show to the movie, it looks more like Gundam-like in the show, which is like crazy. And it doesn't make sense, the decisions they made for this movie.
Yeah. Even some of the, they said some of the side characters in this movie, they draw them so differently that they only slightly resemble each other. Like, I don't know why they feel the need to make those changes.
And even Vaughn, apparently, like, he's more, although he's ready and willing to fight, he's more pacifistic.
Yeah.
Than in the movie, where he's pretty much a murderer.
Yeah, he's reckless.
A lunatic murderer.
He's making hasty decisions. You know, he wanted to kill Hitomi in the beginning before he even knew anything about her. You know, whereas in the show, he's more of like a patient, like quiet warrior. You know, like more reserved. It
got a really good reception outside of Japan.
Yeah, in South Korea, here in the States too, right?
Yeah, All right, guys, recap. This movie blows.
I mean, if we haven't made it clear enough, you know. But, you know, you don't have to take our word for it.
Don't watch it.
It's only an hour and a half long.
Watch the series. I'm sure it's going to be... You know what? Watch the series, then watch this movie, and you will be very upset. I guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, I am looking forward to watching the 26-episode show and talking about how much more wonderful it is, because it is a good show.
I'm looking forward to our next episode, because we just finished Full Moon, Sagashite.
Yeah,
and
my fave.
That turned around for me. So I'm very excited to talk about that.
Yeah. So that one started out slow for you, and then you were like, whoa, this is actually good.
I don't need to watch Escaflowne for a very long time.
Yeah.
In fact, I never need to watch this movie again.
Yeah. I'm just happier you're open to watching the show, because the show is good.
With enough time.
Yeah. I just think that they tried to make this movie based on a longer show, and they just did a shitty job. So yeah, man. Yeah, so that's Escaflowne, the 2000 movie. But the day will come. We'll talk about the 96 show, and it will be so much better. Though I have to say, this movie had a really good song in it. The tune, the main tune of
I was so distracted by how bad this movie was. I didn't hear it. I don't even recall the music.
Did you hear me humming it for the last week? Because I have.
Is that what you were humming?
Yeah.
I was just like, what is that from?
It's a nice. It sounds familiar. I know I've heard it before. Yeah, no, it's a nice tune. It's really catchy. It's really beautiful, like almost like a lullaby that the woman that summons Hitomi to the bad guy. She was humming it the whole movie. She was like singing it, and that was nice too. So they got this cool world that they built. They made Gaea. They had a nice song, and
I can only hope the show goes into Gaea more.
I mean, they do.
In my opinion, was
talk
the best
more about
part
it.
Of the movie. Just looking at the visuals of Gaea and learning about how that world operates.
Yeah, you'll learn more about everything. It's not so choppy and thrown together. So that being said, if you guys want to leave us a message, you want to talk about this movie, if you enjoyed it, or if you agree that it was terrible, or if you want to talk about the show, you can leave us a message in our email, gitcanime@gmail.com, or any messages on social media, just hashtag GITCanime.
Get at me on Twitter at GITCanime, because if you like this movie, we can't possibly ever be friends. This is just, it's a bad movie. Then again, that saying, if you can somehow convince me to like how this movie is good, you can present to me any anime, no matter what it is, I will watch it.
We're also on Facebook, GIC Anime.
All right, guys. I guess that's it. A little all over the place, but who cares? We will see you next time for a Full Moon with Sagashite.
Woo!